Hi folks, Doc Severson here for the TheoTrade Nightly Report for Thursday, June 23rd. I'm looking at the S&P Cash Index and big day today as we tacked on about 27 handles on the S&P. And what you're seeing before the British exit vote, which is going to start to be counted tonight and probably announced by sometime tomorrow, is that you're seeing buy the rumor. And right now the rumor is that the stay vote is going to win. So we'll see whether or not that actually sticks or not, or whether they have any hanging chads, if you know what I mean. Now what's really interesting from here is the movement could be just getting started, because if you look at the options that expire tomorrow afternoon, there's still a tremendous amount of uncertainty priced into those. If you look over here, the expected move is still about 37 points. That's plus minus 37 points. So if we go back to the chart here, what that's showing is that there is a 68.2% probability that the price by the close tomorrow, by the settlement tomorrow at 4:15 Eastern, is going to be 68.2% chance between being about as high as 2150 to all the way down here at 2076. So this is what we're seeing here, is that this huge range where the price could end up tomorrow. And think about the issues with that. So if the price ends up going higher from here, and maybe as far as that upper end of the expected move range up to 2150, that is a brand new all-time high on the cash S&P. Now think about this for a second. Is this really the catalyst that the market needs to expand the range from here, to take all that energy that I've been talking about in the monthly and the weekly charts and start to drive higher from here? Is this really the catalyst that's going to lead us into all-time high prices? Yes, I could see that perhaps based on the certainty that people would want to buy or at least cover their shorts based on the certainty, Britain staying within the EU. I get that, but what's changed? What's changed in the underlying for all this negativity that's out there? All of these poor performances and poor growth and everything else. Is that really going to be enough to drive the S&P into new highs and beyond, up and past 2200? That I don't know. It doesn't make logical sense to me, but again, the market is not a linear vehicle. Doesn't necessarily have to make sense. Now let's look at the converse side of things here. If the price instead breaks to the downside from here, even if it breaks to the downside from here, what that is going to do, even if it's not confirmed, is start the process of setting this up as a major lower high. And if that actually breaks down below the 2050 area on the cash S&P, that is a very dangerous signal, because that shows the change in polarity to a downtrend at that point. And that's usually when the strongest selling occurs, is right on those signals, because you get the most people, especially after today, too bullish on the wrong side of the boat, position with too large a position, and this is where they just have to hit the sell button and go crazy like that. And this is why we can get some really, really damaging days coming off of a lower high in the daily chart. Now, what's giving some people the illusion of complacency and the illusion that all is better again is, if we just look at the good old VIX in here, the VIX actually dropped quite a bit today. And so you get the illusion that, okay, all is better. But again, these are the 30-day, this is the 30-day volatility. And what the VIX is showing is that, hey, 30 days from now, things are going to be probably all settled in again. But again, what you're not seeing is when we go out to the SPX and we have all of this risk that's priced in within the next day. So really, all of this is going to be compressed in just within a day or so here. Now, if we go out a week, we still have a lot of volatility baked into this. I mean, we have plus minus 49 points baked into next week. Obviously, what the market is telling us right now is that most of that move will be priced in by tomorrow. So when are we going to know the results of all this? When will the market start to know with any sense of certainty as to what the actual vote count was? Well, things start to happen tonight at 10 o'clock. Now, this is 10 o'clock England time. So they are on daylight savings time. So at 10 p.m. or 5 p.m. today, Eastern time, the polls close. So what happens after that is that some of the big districts will start to open up. So again, these times that I'm going to give you here are going to be local British time. So at 1 a.m., 1 o'clock a.m. British time, British local time, you're going to have Newcastle and Sunderland will actually declare the results for that. And shortly after that, Sterling, and then right around 2 a.m., and again, this is British Standard Time, you're going to have Oxford. And then 3 o'clock, you're going to have Hammersmith coming in. And then after that, and that's going to be London. That's one of the bigger districts in London coming in. And then at 4 o'clock Eastern, or 4 o'clock British time, you're going to be having Birmingham. Well, Birmingham, okay, if you do it right, will be announcing. So this is going to be, this is 11 o'clock at night, Eastern Daylight Time. So all of these times are English times, right? So it's not quite UTC or Zulu time because they're off by 1 hour. So again, just to keep that in mind, so map that over to whatever time zone that you are in, and then you'll sort of know. But I would say by sometime this evening, by the time that you get this video, the results in the vote counting will be well underway, and you'll see the volatility just start to explode. Now, the Globex market will close down at about 5 o'clock Eastern time, and it will reopen at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So you can watch, if you are in the United States, you can just watch the United States, the S&P futures, and you can kind of follow along with what's going on there. That's going to be a proxy to whatever happens. And again, what's going to be positive for the overall market is a stay vote, Now, what does that mean longer term? What does it mean tomorrow and the day after that? What does that mean for tomorrow and for starting next week? Well, that could be a different issue. I just think after watching news events like this for years and years, that when we have an event like this, which is by the rumor, that usually this ends up creating what's called a pop and drop. So it's got nowhere to go. I mean, to my point earlier, what happens after this? Is the market really going to keep running and running and running just based on all the certainties? There's that much short interest that's cooked up there that has to unwind itself and to bail out of those positions. So many times what we see is some kind of, and this goes to Fed meetings too. We've been watching these happen on Fed meetings for years and years and years, is that the Fed will come out with a very dovish statement and the market runs up like crazy, and then the next thing that happens is the institutions will distribute into that. And so what it ends up causing is a pop and then a drop. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting we're going to end up down here or anything like that. But what you might see is initial strength, which gets faded into surprising weakness. So assuming that this ends up the way that everybody's sort of scripting it out to be, so we rally up a little bit tomorrow, but then you'll start to see it being chewed into before the weekend. You'll start to see those gains being chewed into before the weekend, and then I think it continues into next week. Again, there's no way to read the tea leaves. It's just a feeling that we've seen this move before, and this is usually the result of what happens to something like this. When everybody's watching the same thing, usually the opposite will occur after the results are known. Okay, folks, that is it for tonight's report. I hope to see everybody in the classroom on Saturday as I go over my next class, which is improving the probabilities on vertical spreads using technical analysis. Hope to see you there. Have a good night. Good luck.